Okay, people. So the good people at Signature hooked me up with this. It's a week late, right? Things have just been a little crazy, but I just got round to watching My Sailor, My Love. This is from Klaus Härö, and it's written by Jimmy Karlsson and Kirsi Vikman. The film is produced by um, Kay Nordberg, David Collins, and Carl Aho. Michaelino Bisceglia was on music, Robert Nordstrom, cinematography, Philippe Ravout edited the piece, Emma Gunnery was on casting, production design is John Hand, um, art direction is Dwan Chard, Alison Byrne was on costume design, makeup and hair. We have Pia Mikkonen and Jan Suno. Now, our cast. Well, Howard is played by James Cosmo. His daughter Grace is played by Catherine Walker. Annie, the help and the love, is played by Bríd Brennan. Her daughter Kelly is played by Nora-Jane Noon. I think Brian is Kelly's husband. He's played by Bob Kelly. Grace's husband, Martin, is played by Aidan O'Hara. We got Belinda, played by Nova Farrell. Molly McCann plays Alison. Susie is played by Carol O'Reilly. Clara Fallon plays Melanie. Alex is played by Shane McCarthy. Terry, played by Shane O'Casey. Shane G. Cassie, even. Tara Flynn plays Sarah. Tim Landers plays Walter. Elizabeth is played by Sierra McCowan. Yeah, I think that's probably our main cast, right? I believe so. Now the gist of the story is yes. Howard, a retired sailor and widower, lives in a house by the sea. His adult daughter Grace hires a carer for her father, a lady in her mature years, Annie. Recluse and stubborn, Howard rejects Annie's company, but eventually opens his heart and gives his final love a chance. Grace has her own crisis to unravel and finds her father's romance difficult. Her father's new love reminds her of the affection she missed as a child, and now again as an adult. Annie must face the complex father daughter relationship, while Howard and Grace must realize their own imperfections. So, yeah, that's the story. Now, it's complicated. It's very, very complicated, I would say. Right? There is things here that I felt were missing. You know, it's like when you're looking at the relationship, right? Because it's it says right that Annie is Grace is reminded of the affection she missed as a child and that missed as an adult. and she has to come to terms, but it's not quite that, right? Because it's complicated because you don't want to give too much away. You don't want to give anything away, really. But what, like, everyone knows relationships are mad complex, right? And I think what we see is a thin layer on all of it, right? Because we first introduced, and we have Howard just non-responsive, basically. Grace arrives to look after him with her husband Martin. They've got a birthday cake, and you can see that he seems to be more willing to pretend and be jovial to her brothers than her, right? So there's that. So you see that and you're like, and he just, she's like, "Hey Dad, how are you? I brought you cake, look." And he's just like, ugh, and just doesn't want to be a part of it. Doesn't want to. But we don't know why, right? We don't. Now, later on, we hear, oh, there's a resentment. There might be a resentment for a thing, but you kind of think, okay, there must be more, because obviously that happened. I don't, like, we don't really get ages, but you would think, right, at least 15, probably more than 20 years ago, right? I would say at least. So you're like, wait, there must be more to this situation, but we never get what, right? Also, it starts off with Grace in therapy, which we have no clue on, right? We just see these women go, I'm here because of, I'm here because of. So we're introduced to the several women who never really come into the film after that point, right? We see them in one other therapy session, but we have no clue, who they are, anything like that. So it seems a bit like, was there a point in this? Because the therapy, again, it gets mentioned in passing, but it doesn't really play into this, right? Because we don't get what she's not getting from it, what she is getting, any of that, right? The one thing she says is that she thinks she's getting resentment for caring too much, right? So what you might ascertain from Grace is that that's where she's trying to find love and connection, right? By trying to be there for everyone, spreading herself too thin. But in some regards, you're like, okay, but what about these other situations? There's another situation. It'd be like, what about that one? What's that? And you might go, well, broken people, you know what I mean, become even more broken, right? Which, if you grew up in a dysfunctional situation, it can definitely explain her situation. But we don't really know, right? We have Annie coming in to care for Howard, and again, non-responsive, and then suddenly becomes responsive. Now, there's a thing that Annie does, right? But at that point, everything looks like it's gone to pot. But then suddenly it's back on, and love is blossoming. But again, with the love, it's hard to see how, where, why, right? You get a scene, one of those terrible scenes, I'll reach for this, you reach for this. Oh no, look, our hands touched. You know what I mean? But that's it. It's just like, why? Why have they fallen in love? Right? That's what I want to know. I want to know that. There's a point in the film where Annie says, like, calls into question the relationship with between Howard and Grace, right? Because, as I said, look, relationships are tricky. But what we do see is this meanness. It's it's kind of nasty, right? Which you definitely see in families, but it's just never answered, you know? Like none of it is really addressed. And you kind of think, why? Like, what the fuck? And all these things happen and things escalate, but nothing is ever really answered. Right. And it's not one of those ones where you need to know every nuance of a story. I'd be like, okay, so what happened? Where did it start? Break it down from the beginning, please. No, not that. But just a little bit, because it's just like there is powerful moments in the film which kind of deal with some of this stuff, right? Some of it is like it's hard to really be drawn in because I don't really know why. On the surface you both look like arseholes, you know but as I said, there are moments which are very powerful. But it's just like you just need to know a few nuggets to be like, okay, that makes kind of sense, right? That would be that because you think, why is someone being a punch bag? you know that's the thing that gets a little peculiar. So I think the film has got strengths, but it also has moments and long swaves where you're just a little bit baffled about the situations that are in front of us. Cinematography is very nice, very scenic where this film is, and the acting is decent. It's not bad acting. It's just, I think the story has holes in it, right? That's a big thing. Big pet peeve, and I've said it numerous times. It's the fucking mood music, right? It's just, I don't think the film needed it. I don't think it added to the film. It's more a distraction than anything. So I would have dropped the mood music. Film's about hour and 40, slightly just over an hour and 40. Probably could have been cut down a little bit, made a little tighter. But I think that this film probably it's gonna get to like there was a film that came out at the beginning of lockdown. Was it Summerland? Or I think it had Gemma Atherton in it. We spoke about it back in 2020. But yeah, I think it was like Summerland, something like that. Like Mothering Sunday, I think was that year. Like films like that, which I think had strong moments, but there were just parts of the story that doesn't quite. But I would say if you like those stories, then this will work for you. You will be connected and drawn in. You know what I mean? But yeah, as I said, look, it's not terrible. I'm just like I just felt there were some holes. You know what I mean? But it's out. You can check it out if you want to see some geriatric love. Then My Sailor, My Love could be the flick for you, people.